Hello everyone, Mehdi for Tokyo Alpha Mind. I'm a finance and AI professional as well as global investor from Japan for over a decade now. On this channel, we have one mission: cut through noise and find alpha in both markets and life. And so today's alpha opportunity is about Alibaba and why you have to take a look at this China's opportunity. So the first reason is China's economy. Indeed, China's economy has been in a slump lately. So we have had the bubble in the real estate, we have had the tariff war, but basically a lot of signs are showing us that slowly but surely China's economy is coming back, and we can expect kind of a recovery in the next few years, especially with the stimulus from the government. And what happens if the Chinese economy is actually coming back? Well, if consumption is coming back to China, e-commerce platforms are going to benefit tremendously. And who else more than Alibaba is going to benefit? Well, if the consumption comes back in China, we can expect that Alibaba is going to do pretty well on the e-commerce part. But the other thing is that if companies are also doing very well, they're going to spend more and more on the cloud part. On top of consumption coming back, what we can expect is that also if companies in China are doing better and better, we can expect them to spend more and more on cloud and AI. And that's how Alibaba is going to benefit twofold in terms of growth in China. So that's the first reason. Well, so if you believe in the China story and the fact that China is going to continue to grow at a rapid pace and continuing to innovate, I think that Alibaba is a very good choice to piggyback this Chinese growth. So as you may or may not know, Alibaba is the company behind the Qwen families of models, and I would say that it's one of the two biggest players in terms of models in China. We saw with DeepSeek. So DeepSeek and Alibaba are really the front runners in terms of the race of AI in China. AI, and what we've seen compared to the US is that China has a very open source approach. And with their Ali Cloud, basically Alibaba is going to power this whole AI revolution in China. So they are going to benefit tremendously from the growth of AI in China. But the main and the most important thing is that they have the biggest cloud business in China and in Southeast Asia. And why it matters? Because with open source AI, so basically what's going to happen is that more and more people in China are going to use AI. And if they want to use AI, they are going to have to use some cloud resources. And basically, who is going to provide those resources? It's Alibaba. And so what we have started to see is the reacceleration of the cloud business for Alibaba. And I think that first is going to continue and is going to intensify even more. So Alibaba today, I think, is one of the most undervalued AI player in the market. I think Alibaba is a very good bet, just to highlight the fact that if you want an AI player outside of the US, Alibaba is definitely your best bet. So Alibaba has actually been pretty generous in the return to shareholders in the form of dividends and share buybacks in the previous years. So in terms of dividends, it actually started quite recently, and what we have today is a dividend yield of around 1%. And in terms of share buybacks in 2024, Alibaba has returned to shareholders almost 5% in terms of return with all the share buybacks program that they had when they were very undervalued. It might be reduced a little bit in 2025, but what we can see is that we will see continued return to shareholders with Alibaba. Alibaba today, I think, is one of the most undervalued AI player in the market. First, because it's undervalued altogether, because it's a Chinese company. It's a lot of lot of risk, yes, indeed, but also a lot of, I would say, fear around the names and around the Chinese market, so the Hong Kong market, especially for US investors. But I really think that if you are a global investor, you have to allocate some of your assets to China. Because if you really think about it, in a multipolar world, it doesn't really make sense to have all your eggs in the same baskets, meaning the US. Yes, the US have outperformed in the late or the last decades, I would say. but in the end, it doesn't mean that it's going to repeat. And as we can see that more and more investors are kind of diversifying away from the US and getting back into China, because China valuation is very low and a lot of people have already left from China. So now they're coming back because what they're seeing is that, yeah, the economy in China has been very weak lately, but there's some kind of stimulus from the government first, and second, like, the economy is recovering definitely. And if you are still interested in Alibaba, please do your own due diligence and do your own research. Hope to see you like in another video. And if you're still interested in Asia and Japanese and US markets, so feel free to watch the other videos of this channel and let's keep in touch. See you, bye.